Given the extent of P Diddy criminality, sexually abusing hundreds of people spanning across decades, how is it that only now he's facing ramifications for his crimes? Why now, and how did he get away with it for so long? I don't know the answer, but I'm surprised at how many people are answering a question the OP didn't ask. The question isn't how did he get away with it. The question is why is he getting in trouble now when he has the same money and connections? From my understanding, it was Rodney Jones who jump-started the case against him. 4 weeks after he submitted his claims, DHS raided P Diddy's home and found evidence. The why is that P Diddy promised him Grammys and riches, and Rodney felt stiffed because he did all these drugs with Diddy, and agreed to do these sex parties, etc. to get it, and got nothing out of the career he was promised. One whistleblower gives confidence to other folks to speak out too, which is how you get the more than 100 people situation. Depending on your age and your news interest, the Susan Fowler, an Uber employee, was a semi-recent sexual misconduct whistleblowing case that hit the news. Once you went live with what happened to her, stories started pouring out from the CEO's ex-girlfriend and other female managers about things like the CEO taking the entire team to an escort bar in Korea, and having them pick escorts by their numbers, and those employees with an escort going off into closed backrooms. Without Susan Fowler, though, everyone else was scared about their ability to work in the industry again if they were the first to report it and the investigation was covered up or went nowhere. If you watch some documentaries about Tupac's murder, you'll understand the deep history. Diddy won the gauntlet of powerful connections. A few very specific names that mentored him handed him an untouchable life. I compare it to Yeltsin Putin. He didn't just get this from nowhere. Once in a while, the elites sacrifice one of their undesirables to uphold the illusion of justice. Being rich and famous makes it possible for you to get away with a lot of stuff. You can pay people to cover things up. You can bribe people to look the other way. Given your power and wealth, you can threaten to keep people from getting hired in your field. You can use your connections to blackmail people that might speak out. He made his victims think that no one would believe them. I think it took that footage of him stomping on Cassie to make people open their eyes. Then when a few people started to come forward, the floodgates opened for the victims. There is safety in numbers. Same thing applies to Cosby and Weinstein. He messed with someone higher in the food chain than him. Feds work slow, but when they catch you, you're done. Guy at work says Hollywood has lost so much money lately that they can't afford to keep their dark secrets a secret anymore. How'd he get away for so long? With all that baby oil, I'd say he was a slippery one to get a hold of. Wild conspiracy theory guess, but I think it has to do with him filing a lawsuit against Diageo, the huge international alcoholic beverage company. They settled back in January of this year, but I'm sure they weren't happy about it. They turned a blind eye to his wrongdoings but piss off the wrong people, especially ones with money and power, and prepare for the consequences. Also, something Illuminati. Because he got too big-headed and someone more powerful than him didn't like it. Either he became a liability to someone higher up the food chain, or he was the sacrificial lamb for the media and public to focus on while someone else rich and powerful needed to take eyes off their scandal. He got away with it because money buys some protection. But evidence against someone powerful along with supplying their needs once makes you untouchable until you're no longer needed, or your blackmail becomes worthless. It takes decades to catch a rich and famous person. Kelly, Weinstein, etc. are a good example. Savile and MJ would also have been caught had they not died. Johnson & Johnson saw a decrease in profits from reduced sales of baby oil, so the FBI was called in. Money. Timing is connected to evidence that was put on record during civil cases. Once that was out, our government could no longer ignore the crimes and was forced to go after him. The only question I have is why he didn't fly to Dubai, Israel, or Venezuela where rich scumbags are protected. All the other comments, plus there are a lot of people benefiting off of him or people in on it, and survivors of this kind of thing are treated like liars and criminals in US culture or labeled as crazy attention seekers if they point out famous people doing it. It like the Epstein case though in that there are hundreds of politicians and billionaires, in this case bud dream musicians and performers, who have done some terrible things, but they will be protected and all of it will come down on one person. These people live lives we can barely imagine and really are above the law. Why else do you think they get so bored that they start to want these kinds of things in the first place? Fear of retaliation by someone much more powerful than they are. It's the same way Larry Nassar got away with his sex crimes for so long. I'm sure the answer starts and ends with he upset someone powerful who was protecting him.